in our relationships, in our business relationships, and in the way that we communicate with each other so that we can get things done more effectively. So that includes both sales and just the running of our business, dealing with clients, all kinds of good stuff. And the person that I have to communicate most in my life is here with me, Greg McDaniel, my partner in crime in the co-pilot seat, as you so belong, over there, back in your box, back in your box. Greg, what's up today?
I love my box. I live in my box. I clean my box. But I'm excited. Kim and I were talking off air and kind of going over stuff. I think I changed the name of the title to like 6 times because like, we'll talk about this. Well, no, we can talk about that. We can talk about this one. Oh my God! Like this woman is a treasure trove of content. Like we decided, the 3 of us, to finally land on one. So this is why Matt brought it up. We have to find a way to trick her to come back onto the show. So we let her come up with all these great titles, and then we're just gonna keep doing it every other month or something. Bring her back so you guys can get nuggets of goodness dropped into your earballs. But Kim, welcome back. I'm excited to be here. It's crazy pants busy, but you know what? It's never too busy to have a good conversation with someone like you. So good to see you.
I am thrilled to be here, and you absolutely don't need to convince me to send me an invitation.
We can do said action. No problem.
All right. So for those that didn't catch your first episode with us, which it's been a while, I think it's been since like September of last year. It's been way too long. I remember I was hanging out in the office with Greg. I think I was sitting side by side with Greg when we had you on. So that's how I gauge how long ago it's been. Yeah. If anybody remembers when I was hanging out with Greg in the Bay Area, that is the last time we had you on. So refresh people's memory, who you are, where you are, what you do.
So my name is Kim Ades. I am the president and founder of a company called Frame of Mind Coaching, and we coach the highly driven population, the people who are business owners, leaders, executives, the C-suite. We coach people who are movers and shakers and really want to make a massive difference in the world and really have big goals that they want to achieve. So that's what we do, and the way we do it is we look at their thinking and how their thinking is impacting their outcomes, and we help them line up their thinking with their goals, because we find that a lot of times when people have trouble reaching their goals, it's a thinking problem. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
Gotcha. Yeah. Love it. And we're going to talk about communication. So there was an interesting question that I think caught my mind, because I think the conversation that this would generate, most agents would go into a conversation like this or a situation like this expecting this to be a difficult conversation. And I would love, Kim, to get your perspective on this, because I'm betting you have a ninja Aikido way to handle this that would be eye-opening for a lot of people. So this is a question from Elena Hairston on the Lead Gen Scription Objections group. She says, your reaction, or what's your reaction, when a client wants you to show them 26 houses in 3 different counties in 1 week, and on top of that wants to negotiate your commission? So obviously they're very, very special client, shall we put it that way? So,
well, so what you want to do is really, really acknowledge their need, and rather than kind of discount them, help them prioritize what's singularly most important, because you want to be efficient, you want to be effective, and you also want to demonstrate your value. As for negotiating your commission, I mean, personally, my point of view is that's not negotiable. Why? Because the value I will deliver will far exceed the cost. And so if in your mind that's already in place, then that's not up for discussion, right? What you want to do is say, hey, my concern is your absolute satisfaction, and let's look at how we make sure that happens. So we change the conversation from dollars and cents to service and value. And I think that's the most important thing that has to take place on that front. As far as seeing 26 different properties, I think it's really important that what you start off with is saying, let's really define your needs. Before we go looking all over the place, let's sit down and make sure that we have nailed your needs, that we understand specifically what you want, so that I can narrow down the playing field. That's the value I bring to the table, so that we're not wasting anybody's time, especially yours. And so, again, going back to the conversation of value, 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 that's really important. And there's another component, is that oftentimes when we hear the client says, I want this, we have the understanding, or a reaction is, we must do what the client wants. And that's not accurate.
That is very true. Yeah.
Right? So what you need to think about is, hey, I am the expert here, and I hear what they want. That's not necessarily what's best for them. And so as their agent, you must come back and say, here's, given my years of experience and my understanding of the industry, this is the best way to go about it. So a lot of times, for example, when I have a potential client who's interested in coaching and they say, well, I want you to hold me accountable, I say, I might not be the best coach for you. If this is what you want, then there are other people. However, let me explain to you why you're experiencing this problem and what the best way to address it is. And now I've got their ear and they understand that I am the expert in the field.
Oh, man, we're going to have to come back to that because I literally just talked about accountability 2 hours ago with a good friend of mine, and I have many, many, many side questions about that we could potentially get into. But, Greg, I want to bounce it to you real quick because Kim said something that's really good that I hadn't really thought of, but is totally true, which is that when most agents hear something like that and it stirs up that emotional reaction, Kim, you hit the nail on the head. Our assumption is, oh, crap, I'm going to have to do what they want. And Greg, obviously that's not true, but how do you, like if that's our normal reaction to that is great. Now, I'm going to be schlepping across 3 different counties, 26 different houses. Like we're having an emotional reaction to that because we've already assumed that we have to do that. But Greg, that's not even true.
No, I wouldn't even entertain that.
Yeah.
I would tell my clients, look, the way I operate, and I want to do this for your best interest, is first off, identify why they want to see 26 homes in 3 counties. Eliminate, figure out their reasoning behind that, and then say, okay, well, we can see a bunch of homes, but, we're only going to see, these homes in a maximum of 7 homes per showing. And if we're going to be in 3 counties, we're going to pick, the top priorities in each of the counties, and we'll do them on different days. But I need to understand why the 3 different counties. Is it for schools? Is it for access, or is it for commuting? Is it for job opportunities? Is it family oriented? Why are we such a wide array of locations? And then understand where their want, need, and desire is, and then execute on it. But I flat out will not show someone over 7 homes in a day or in one showing, because the kitchen of the first, the backyard of the 5th, and the master bedroom of the last one all come into the perfect house. And they're like, well, I just want this. I'm like, well, you can't have that. You've got to be able to, look at other stuff. And then you also have to verify that they can even afford all of these homes, so you're not running around with someone going, well, that's a nice house, but do you think they take $50,000 less? No, I don't think they're going to take $50,000 less. Then, because we run into that all the time with client control. I allow them to say what their opinion is, but then I come back and say, I'm glad that you want to see all these homes. That's just not how I run my business, and this is the reason why. To protect your interest in your time. It's always about them, never about me. And then I say, okay, let's pick our top couple of homes, and then let's go out and see some houses. So it kind of like Kim was talking about. It's about client control from number one. Understanding their want, need, or desire, and then facilitating it, because it is about their best interest, not about our best interests.
Yeah.
Who was I talking to? I was talking to Chad Caseman the other day. He was out of town, and Brad Witts filled in for him when he was on a vacation with his family for a buyer. Brad goes, you SOB, that person wanted to see 20 houses. It's almost the exact same thing. And so Brad showed all the houses to him, tromped all over, hell and gone. and he goes like, you owe me a dinner. And Chad turns around to him and goes, you know what? You can order anything off the McDonald's menu you want. You can even get 2.
And that's exactly what that's what you deserve for allowing that client to walk all over.
You know what? I think it's also important to say, hey, if you're hiring an agent to take you to 26 different homes, they're not doing their job. Because here is the job that you're hiring them to do, right? And so you're not getting the benefit of the expertise and the work that the agent comes to the table with right off the bat. So if any sales professional, if any real estate professional agrees to show you 26 houses, you're getting a really poor agent. And I think it's important to kind of create that anchoring, that baseline. I think it's super important to say, man, I would never hire a real estate person who agrees to show me that many houses. That means that they're unskilled, that they're not scrupulous, that they do not value your time or theirs, and that's not the agent that I want.
Really good. Really good.
Yeah, when I was a beginning agent back in my first year or two, I had this client, Darlene, and Darlene dragged me all over the area looking at every single freaking house, and I didn't know any different, so I just went and did it. I learned really quick after a year and a half of showing her homes that that's not how you do it. Yeah.
Year and a half.
That was fun.
It sounds like fun. Okay. So I want to go back to the accountability real quick, Kim. So you mentioned like if somebody comes in, because there's a lot of teams, and with the rise of teams and the rise of online lead generation comes a lot of this need for accountability. So accountability is a huge buzzword in the team community, because every team leader needs to hold their team agents accountable, right? Because that's the only way that the online leads get converted. Is they have to be followed up with in a certain way. Agents don't naturally behave that way, so they're trying to drive all this behavior change in their agents, and so they're having to constantly check up on their agents. So what's your view of accountability?
Okay, so I want to talk about accountability, and then I want to talk about behavior change, what you just said a second ago. Okay, so from a coach's standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, I don't want to hold anybody accountable. Like, who has time for that, honestly? I want people who come to the table who have a sense of accountability. There's a very big distinction between holding someone accountable and being accountable. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I want to have a team of people who are accountable. I don't want to have to babysit. I don't want to have to hold people accountable. I don't want to have to watch over what they're doing. I don't want to have to manage their behaviors. I don't want to have to do any of that. That's not a good team. That's a weak team, in my opinion. And so from an accountability perspective, and I'll talk about from a coaching standpoint, there are lots of coaches out there who build their businesses on holding people accountable. Mm-hmm. In my mind, it's unethical at best and then detrimental at worst. Why? Because if I build my business, if I say to you, hey, Matt, I'm going to hold you accountable, and it works, you start meeting your goals and you start being successful, what happens when I go away? Mm-hmm. You're screwed, right?
Yeah.
Like, now what? You're left holding an empty bag because now suddenly your coach who held you accountable is gone. Now you're stuck doing it yourself and you have no idea how to do that. But that's the best case scenario, right? The worst case scenario is why do you hire a coach? Because you're frustrated. You're not able to reach your goals on your own. You're like really struggling, right? And now what happens when I hold you accountable and you're still struggling and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing? So how did you feel when you came into coaching? Not that great because you needed help. How do you feel now? 100 times worse. Because not only isn't it working, you hired someone to hold you accountable, right? And now even that's not working. And so the very reason you hired a coach was really to feel a little more confident and help you get things done is actually backfiring. So for me, I think that's really, really harmful. So the accountability model in coaching really needs to be examined and say, like, what is it that a coach is supposed to do? In my mind, I need to help you find a way to be accountable to yourself, to want to be accountable, to want to reach your goals, to want to engage in the behaviors that lead to outcomes. Now, let's jump ahead. First of all, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, and I think it's great for a couple of things. Number one, it's great for keeping coaching businesses in business, right? Because it perpetuates the demand. And that also is one of the reasons why teams build them that way, because it keeps the agents captured to the team, which is good for the stability of the team, which I understand it from the team leader's perspective. I totally get it. I think where they do some service to people is the people who have not built the foundation of success, that don't have the ability or the willingness to be accountable to themselves. If they get in that environment, sometimes some of those people will succeed and stay in real estate and stay in that team environment, whereas they might have failed out completely if they weren't in that environment. So I see a potential benefit there if they get into the right team environment, but it's only if they have a temporary being held accountable that starts to instill in them the desire to then just be a person who is accountable to themselves. If that makes sense.
I think the best teams are teams that come together where everyone brings something of value to the table that they could not have on their own. Okay, so we can think about it as structural value, right? So one person's a hunter, one person's a farmer, one person's a maintainer, one person shows homes, one person does the paperwork, so together we form a team where we're each leveraging our strengths, but we depend on the other person, and we really feel like those other people take care of those weaknesses to the highest ability. but I come to the table with my strength. That's the kind of team I want to build. I don't want to build a team where I'm like cracking my whip, making sure people are doing what they need to do. That's not the kind of team I want. So I want to jump ahead because you mentioned something before. You mentioned like making sure they do the things, the behaviors. What did you say? Behavior management. I think that's what you said.
Trying to change behavior, essentially, instill a different set of behaviors in agents who would not do those things otherwise.
Right. So I think this is very important because why don't people do what they are supposed to do, or why don't people take action that they know will lead to results? It's not a lack of skill. It has to do with their thinking. Something interferes, something gets in the way of them doing those things. And so rather than trying to manage behaviors, I recommend that leaders learn how to coach a little bit and start to learn how to examine what it is that's getting in the way of action, which is what are the beliefs that are standing in your way? What are the beliefs you're thinking that's causing paralysis? So earlier when I was talking to Greg, we talked a little bit about this, and it's why do some people gravitate towards things that are easy as opposed to hard, right? Wasn't that the conversation we started to discuss?
Yeah, we're talking about different things that I've been seeing in my business with different clients and interpersonal relationships and everything else. You asked me a great question. What's the most overwhelming, most common issue that you've been seeing? And we kind of came up with transparency, not being passive aggressive, and just kind of being a leader on that front. And that was it was a great question. It made me literally stop in my tracks because I didn't have an answer. I'm like, what is the hardest thing I've had?
So why do people stay away from things that are hard? Well, the definition of hard is I believe they're hard. So for you, they might be easy. For someone else, they might be hard. And, is there an actual objective evaluation of what's hard and what's easy? It isn't. It's subjective, right?
Yeah.
And it stems from what we believe to be true. So for one person, making a cold call is super hard. For another person, it's just another phone call. I'm lifting up the phone and talking. It's not like I'm, rolling a big boulder up a mountain. Now that's hard, right? And so what we want to do is rather than manage people's behaviors, really look at their thinking and where their thinking stops them from taking action that leads to results. So that's what we do at Frame of Mind Coaching is we look at how people think and we look at where their thinking literally creates paralysis and prevents them from reaching the goals that they want to reach. And so from the standpoint of leading a team, rather than managing behaviors, let's look at the thinking, let's look at the mindset, let's look at how their behaviors aren't lined up with the goals and ask why. What's really behind it? What's underneath all of this?
Yeah. And one of the things that I do, I start off every morning, I start off with the I am statements. I am great, I'm good, I'm powerful, I'm financially wealthy. I do all the I ams I can possibly generate in my system. I find that really helps me to shift my personal mindset, because I find myself, even though I consider myself pretty positive, kind of wake up in moods that are probably not the most conducive for a positive work day. And then I start going through these different things, and I'm eliminating these different energies, and I'm getting myself into a more positive state. And a lot of the folks that I work with, they never do that. They stay in the negative state. And I also look at mainstream media. I blame them for a lot of the negativity, because it's nothing but doom and gloom, crime, rape, markets falling apart, murder, mayhem, and it gets into your brain. It's like trying to drink a clean cup of water, but you have muddy water. You got to clean that out and put better stuff in there if you want better stuff output.
So, Greg, 20,000 points for you for taking care of your emotional state. Because to me, that's the single greatest exercise you can do that will lead to success. Period. End of story. That's it. The question is, how do we do that? And so you're using something that we call affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you like maybe a twist on affirmations. When you say, I am great, I am awesome, I am amazing, if the back of your head is saying, who the hell am I kidding? Then the affirmations work against you. Funny,
they do.
Right? Interesting.
They do, but I moved directly into that, and I use the Sedona method to release that. Could I release it? Would I release it? When? Now? You can get it out of your system.
Right. So a lot of people don't know that. They just do the I am great component, right?
Right.
And so the releasing part, it really is what are the beliefs in the back of my mind that are
Yeah.
causing me to feel resistance?
Yeah. And that's one of the things I look at on a consistent basis, because I have found in my own life that I've had some things in my back of my mind that have held me back from moving forward in business and in relationships and everything else that are absolutely asinine. Like a belief that I've had for a long time is that, my father has been incredibly successful in real estate, and he's had one career in his life, and I always aspired to having just one career in my entire life and being an absolute master at it, when in reality I'm seeing life shift, and it was so deeply ingrained into me that I'm like, I can't shift careers. I can't move out of this position, because I told myself I wanted to have this one career and be a master at it and be a legend in the business. Then I see all these very successful people, entrepreneurs, that are dipping their fingers in all these different industries and becoming wealthy, and they're forward thought leaders. And I'm like, oh, it is okay to do that. And then I went back and I had a conversation with my father, and it was just two days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. Yeah, Monday. He and I had a random lunch together at his house. I'd stopped by to drop something off, and he and I had like a 3-hour conversation. And he's walking out, just being the awesome human being that he is. Give me a big old hug. I love you, Gregor. That's his nickname for me, Gregor. I don't know how I got that. I don't know where the R came in, but love you, Gregor. I will do anything I can do to support you and help you grow. I see big things for you. And I'm like, has this been stopping me? Because I allowed it to. And once I was able to release it and come to terms with it and know that I'm not going to be letting him down. I'm not going to be letting myself down. I'm not going to be letting my clients down. Everyone supports me to move forward in the radio side and the TV side and the marketing side. Not really marketing, more like just being the face of what I'm building. Everyone gives me the thumbs up, and I'm okay with that now. Because
you said something very important. I think it's super important, is I was not aware of this one thing that was holding me back. Mm-hmm. And that is a huge statement, because a lot of people suffer in silence in their state of unawareness. That's not a word, but okay.
Today it is. On Real Estate Uncensored, it's unawareness.
Unawareness. But here's what happens, is that we're struggling. We don't know why we're struggling. And I'll tell you why you're struggling is because you have a series of thoughts, a series of beliefs, a series of perceptions that you're not even aware of, that are holding dominion. They're really captivating. They're holding you hostage and preventing you from getting to where you want to go. And so your task is to say, how do I become aware of these thoughts? How do I become aware of the beliefs that are really fundamentally getting in my way? The question isn't, what should I do next? What's the next action I should take? Because if your thinking is not changing, that action won't lead to success.
Yeah. You've got to figure out where the root cause is. And what I've found, and I'm sure that you can advise your clients to do the same, is that anytime I'm stuck with something, I literally, piece of paper, go line across the top, line down the middle, pros, cons, subject at top. Why am I feeling blah, or whatever the subject is? And then I just start writing as much as I possibly can. I just write and write. All of a sudden, bingo, bango, boongo, there it is. It arrives as clear as day, and you're like, how did I not see this? How did I not see this? Well, it's because your reticular activating system wasn't looking for it. Your RAS, guys, there's a book called The Answer. Now, it's a phenomenal book. Go read that book. You only have to go to like chapter 8. Then it goes into a whole marketing book. It's like 2 books in one. Anyways, they talk about how powerful your RAS is, and it's either a positive or it's a negative. It can work 100% against you. You need to be very careful with this. It's the most powerful thing in the world, and it's like throwing a 3-year-old keys and be like, all right, go do the Grand Prix. It's not going to work. You're going to crash. But you've got to figure out how to handle this powerful tool and figure out where your underlying beliefs are, where they came from in the past. Be okay with confronting them and eliminating them. And it could be very emotional. It could be and most likely it's a parent or close friend that has been the biggest negative influencer on you. And there's a variety of different reasons for that.
It could be a past experience. Mm-hmm. It could be a past experience. It could be something you've witnessed. It could be an experience you don't even remember because it was so buried. But one of the things you said, Greg, is that you write it down, you journal. That's what we do with our clients is we ask them to journal every single day. And their journal goes to their coach who then starts digging, asking more questions. And the purpose of that digging is to get to the source of their beliefs. What is the belief that's causing you to feel this way, to act this way, to behave this way, and to get these results? What are the beliefs? And let's look at those beliefs. Let's put them up to the light, and let's see if they even make sense, because most of the time, your beliefs don't even make sense.
Yeah, they're really silly. I mean, like to the point of childishness, how silly and, stupid they are. But you put them on a pedestal and give them power.
You make them the law.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you can change anything in your belief pattern, and one of the things that come here. Sorry, I have this written down on this crazy piece of paper. I keep it around me. Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, and I love it so much I put it down. And, if you have a little box on the upper left-hand side, it's going to be your potential, your infinitely potential. I mean, you have everything you need for potential. Go directly across, it's going to be how much action you take, great or little. Drops right down to your results. And then your results are going to go right back over to your belief system saying you can or you cannot do it. So if it's asking the hot chick or dude out on a date, is it, believing that you're a master negotiator and you can get your client to the next level wherever it is, or you can't, or you can do prospecting. You said you brought up calls. If you do calls or doors or whatever, you have everything you have everything that you need to succeed in life. Every single thing. There's nothing you lack, or the resources. I mean, there's resources and there's resourcefulness. The resources, there's so much resources out there. It's white noise. There's so much content. Now, what are you going to be resourcefulness? How are you going to utilize it and execute on it? And you're talking, Kim, your mindset.
You want to hear something funny? So one of my limiting beliefs is, man, I don't look good on video. I'm not comfortable doing video. I don't know what to talk about on video. And guess what? You guys are challenging that belief because here I am, right? So we all have beliefs. Even the most successful people have beliefs that they're not even aware of. And that's the key is, what do I need to engage with in order to become more aware of those beliefs?
Yeah, that's really good. Now, that's where I think journaling is so good. Greg, go ahead.
I was going to say, Kim, there's a lot of people, a couple of my clients and other people I talk to all the time. How did you get over your fear of video?
You know what? I said, this is dumb. This is ridiculous. There are so many people who are on video at different ages and stages of life. They're not models. They're not all thin and stunning. And they're all doing it. Like, what's wrong with me? Right? So I just said, this is something I need to get over. And so suck it up and get over it. And so for me, like, I don't tolerate for myself, once I'm aware that this thing is holding me back, I'm like, that's not going to happen. That's not who I am. That's not how I'm built. Like, figure it out and get over it. It doesn't matter. Take a million takes if you need to do it, right? Use different lighting, try on different clothing. I don't care what it takes. Just do it.
Or just do it bucket naked and just go have a good time and see what the response for the clients are going to be.
You're
probably not the best.
A little far.
Your church could turn out badly, but you never know. It could be a nudist colony out there that wants to hire you.
Greg advocates for naked database nurture videos, educational real estate videos.
Hey, that's a nudist colony. That's a niche market right there.
That is a micro niche.
Riches are made in niches, baby.
Exactly. Okay. So I want to talk about transparency and communication just for a couple minutes, and then we've got maybe a final question that we'll end off on. So Kim, tell me a little bit about how much of a difference and why it makes so much of a difference to really focus on being transparent. Now, I don't care. Like, a lot of our listeners are not going to be on teams per se, so they're wondering, going like, hey, look, this is I'm a solo business. Like, I'm kind of out here on an island. What does communication have to do with me, and who am I being transparent with? But we're not really an island. So when you look at like what most people would consider a very solo business, a solo practitioner, who are they communicating with, and why is transparency important to them? What's the radical benefit to them?
Let's ask the question a little differently, because I can easily say, yeah, transparency is super important. Okay, and I'll give you 10 reasons why. But let's turn it around. Is what prevents people from being transparent? What is transparency? Transparency is just being yourself, being real, telling your truth. right? Being honest with the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what being transparent is. And so why aren't people transparent? And that's a very important question. And the reason that a lot of people aren't transparent is because they're trying to manage other people's impressions of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so where does that need come from? It comes from the need for approval. It comes from the need for other people to think positively about them. Right? So that's where we stop being transparent. We say, well, if they knew who I really was, then they wouldn't like me, or they wouldn't approve of me, or they wouldn't hire me, or they wouldn't take me on as their real estate professional, or whatever it is. So we have a story that we tell in our minds about what other people think of us, and that story prevents us from being transparent. So now the question is, what are the stories we're telling? And again, go back to the video. Hey, I'm talking to two young, good-looking, handsome men, and, I'm not that young, and I'm not that handsome, and, that's my story, right? And so that story gets in my way, and that makes me say, okay, well, I better maybe put on a little makeup for this show. I better be a little better than I am, or I better, right? So where does the lack of transparency come from? It comes from truly trying to manage other people's impressions. So is that a terrible, horrible, awful thing? Think about it. Think about where it comes from. It comes from the desire for other people to say, yeah, I accept you.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So once you understand why people aren't transparent, when you notice someone not being transparent, you don't take it so badly. You don't think of them poorly anymore. You understand the source of it. And so now the question becomes, how do you start being a little more transparent? Well, here's the really magical element. I'm being pretty transparent here. I'm telling you what I'm grappling with. And what that does is it allows people to see you for who you are, but it's also an element of connection. How many people are sitting on the other side of this computer or whatever screen and saying, man, I can understand how she feels. She's a human being. And what you really want to do is kind of take a bit of a leap of faith, go into a place of discomfort for the purpose of connection, and that trumps all.
Yeah, you asked that question. Why? I asked you the question of the video, and the first thing that came to me when is the reason people don't do things is they don't want to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is transparency, and that's where. Right. If you can be transparent to things, then you're 100% vulnerable to all of everyone else's, thoughts and, wishes about you. If you just were to concentrate on who you are and build on you and let everyone either come with you or not come with you, it really doesn't matter, because you know what? You'll create the tribe effect of the people who will come around you that share your same mindset. And the reason why we're also fearful of what other people think about us is that back in the day when we were tribe-based, hunters and gatherers, if you were kicked out of your tribe, you meant certain death. And in today's day and age, I was talking with one of my coaching clients today about social media. We still have the tribe mentality. Who are our friends on Facebook? Who are our followers on Instagram? How many Snapchat people do we have? You have all this stuff on LinkedIn, right? These are our tribes. In reality, you can turn your tribe on or turn your tribe off. You can get rid of all the negativity that people are in. I mean, digital bullying, it cracks me up when someone says, I got digitally bullied or whatever else. I'm like, then shut Facebook down. Turn it off. The bully's not going to chase you home. They can only get you on the screen, right?
Right.
And if you're transparent about that and you're like, hey, look, this is hurting my feelings. I don't like this. Well, then you can either, do your thing or do another thing. So on mornings, I do my mornings with McDaniel. And it's like my own personal video diary. 100% transparent, 100% honest. There is zero, things that I hide from people. And I grappled with doing this. But what I've got is resounding, I'm talking resounding thanks for doing the shows in the mornings.
Interesting.
My new brother-in-law is my cousin's husband. I was talking to him, and he's an ER doctor. And he's like, dude, I love watching your mornings with McDaniel. I'm like, you watch that? He's like, oh, yeah, dude. I'm like, oh, my God, okay. It's incredible.
And are you talking to anyone, or are you just talking into the screen?
I just talk to myself for 30 minutes straight. I don't know how I do that, but I do. But I do. There are people that are there, but it's very
there's some interaction because you're able to see people commenting and stuff like that live. They can't come on there with you, but you can see and you can interact with people that way. But
right,
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize, Greg, that you were using that as much of a as a journal and like radical transparency as you've that must have evolved since the last time I dipped in and watched.
Yeah, no, I just took it. I'm like, what do people need to hear about? I'm like, you know what? They need to hear about the same shit I'm dealing with on a daily basis, weekly and monthly, yearly. I'm like, well, let's just air the dirty laundry and see where it lands. It landed in the right spot, apparently. But it's transparent. And people thrive on transparency because it's such a rare quality in today's world. Everybody hides behind a meme, hides behind a screen, hides behind a username. There's the avatars. Everyone's got their own front up, and we're dying to see human interaction that's authentic. And that's...
Absolutely. And by the way, at the end of the day, we're talking about sales and commissions and all that stuff. Like, the more you can be, the more authentic you can be, the more you're attracting the right clients, the ones that are a match to you. So go do what you need to do. Be who you need to be. Say what you need to say.
I had a conversation with a client of mine last night. They're financially in a very tight situation. Very tight situation. And they had never really talked to me about it. And I said, look, I need you to be transparent with me. Where are we financially? And they laid it out for me. And the picture became clear. I was able to take immediate action and get in touch with their lender and say, hey, look, there's this program out here. Matt, what was the guy's name? It was like a year and a half ago. The gentleman from San Francisco, he's the bank that would like invest with people to put a bigger down payment on a property to get them into the house. You know what I'm talking about?
Ryan Elbogen from.
How do you do that? It's just impressive. I'm not even mad. I'm just impressed.
As I remember his name and then forget the name of the company, which would be way more helpful to people. So don't compliment me too fast. But yes, I know who you're talking about. It's man alive. I'll find it here in a second. I'll give you the name of the company. Go ahead, Greg.
I was just saying that, like, I was able to pop in my mind, bam, she was transparent with me, then I could go and give her the exact service that she needed to help her and her family move on successfully from this transaction.
Right. It's called Unison.
Unison, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you're exactly right. And Kim, you're exactly right in the sense that the reason that people hold things back from us is the same reason that we hold ourselves back from everybody else. It's all managing people's perceptions of us. We're trying to present something. It doesn't match what we feel like we are on the inside. And so then we feel like we have to build something between those two. And that's one of the, that's very, very dangerous in the long term because it starts to affect our self-awareness, doesn't it?
Well, it affects everything. It affects our relationships. It affects the way we perceive ourselves. It affects the way we communicate. It affects everything. It just affects the way we live day to day.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so I have one, and we'll try not to go too far down the rabbit hole in this question. So before we do that, and then we'll close out the show, Kim, what's the best way for people to learn more and connect with you guys?
So the best way is to go to frameofmindcoaching.com. And right there on the site, there is something called an assessment, and I encourage everybody to try it out. Why? Because when you can start to see your beliefs, when you can start to understand how your thinking is affecting you, right away it's a game changer. Right away you can start to experience change. And that assessment gives you insight with respect to how you're thinking. So what happens is you take this assessment and then you set up a call with someone named Hillary from our office who is absolutely amazing, and she will review your assessment with you, and you walk away understanding why you're stuck, why you're trapped, why you aren't taking the actions you're supposed to be taking, and that starts to shed light on what's really happening for you.
Very cool.
Have you found people to be afraid of taking that action because they don't? Then they have to deal with what's really going on.
Well, I'll tell you, I find that when people take the assessment, they're ready. Like, they really want help. They're really ready to make the change, and they're really ready to say, okay, turn on the light. I've been living in the dark for too long, and I'm done. I need to start seeing. And that's the person who shows up at the site and takes that assessment.
Yeah, Chinese proverb, the teacher appears when the student's ready.
That's right.
All different walks
and it's
of life.
It's a kind and loving experience. Like, you walk away going, wow, like your mind will be blown by what you suddenly start to realize about yourself.
I know we've probably talked about this before. I mean, you must see radical transformations. I mean, just literally night and day when they're like, okay, I'm really, really freaking tired of this. Like, I know I can do better. I'm not living to my potential. I'm holding myself back. I'm doing these certain actions. This has got to change. And then you see him change, and you're like, who is this amazing human being that showed up? Like, hello, you. You're awesome.
We do see amazing transformation, like every single time. But what I really love is when they see amazing transformation in themselves. So like yesterday, I got a journal from one of my clients saying, I'm going to give myself an A for the change that I've experienced. So, I mean, they see themselves change, and they go back to the beginning. They listen to their recordings. They read their first journals, and they say, wow, I cannot even believe I'm the same person. I handle conflict differently. My relationships have improved. I just feel so much better, so much more at peace, so much more in flow. I'm getting deals. I'm reaching my goals. I'm happier. My blood pressure went down. It's just they walk away a million times lighter.
So basically, if you guys want the magic wand of life, if you want to drink from the well of youth, go to her site, take the assessment, and change your life. I mean, it's really
that's right.
I'm just so sad it didn't work for Matt. You know, we still have high hopes for you, buddy.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Matt, you and I have to talk.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so there was a question that I wanted to end on, but I think probably the best answer to it is to go to the assessment because it'll start that process. But Laura Codwell had a great question. Says, after a great first half of the year, my business has really slowed down, and I'm considering some other lead gen options. And she goes on with her question from there. It was the part about the business slowing down that really kind of caught my eye, and I was curious, Kim, how you would maybe handle that and start to work through that with the client. But it sounds like their best step is still to go through the assessment. What are, if you want to add anything to that, I don't know if you want to, but what are some of the first couple of questions that maybe they can get started by asking themselves if they feel like they're in that position
so
when their business is slowed down?
One of the things that I do with a lot of people is I give people 3 journaling questions, and they're very critical questions because what we find is there's a lack of alignment between what people are doing and what people actually want. So question number 1, and guys, write this down. What do you really, really want more than anything? And why are there 2 reallys? It's because what is it that you really want? Not what someone wants for you or what's expected of you or what you think someone wants to hear. What do you truly, deeply want? Question number 2, what would your life be like if you never had it? Would that be cool? Like how would you go through life if that never unfolded? And question number 3 is, so what's getting in the way? What's stopping you? And the number 3 is the kind of the light that starts to shine where we start to see what beliefs are running your life. So answer those 3 questions, and I'll tell you what, here, I'll even go this far. Send me those answers at kim@frameofmindcoaching.com, and I will assign it to a coach who will review it with you. So those 3 questions are super, super critical. Why? Because so many people live life not even knowing what they want. That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
And then when you start to really look at what's getting in your way, you're going to start to see that you're making up a lot of excuses. And while that's not terrible, we all do it, at some point you want to say, okay, I'm done with that.
What was the third question? I got the first 2. What do you really, really want? Because you did 2 reallys. And then what would your life be like if you never get it? And I love that one. That's a powerful question. And what was the third one?
What's getting in the way? What's stopping you from having what you really, really want right now?
You know, I've asked myself that question. What's getting in the way? Why am I not achieving things? And it's my own personal actions on certain parts of my life. They're difficult to stop or whatever else, a belief pattern or whatever it is. But it was the moment of clarity when I actually realized that the things that I want are literally one decision away. You can have anything you want by shifting your next decision. Not about the next biggest thing on earth or anything like that. It's just your next choice. Are you going to have that burger or are you going to have the salad? Are you going to take that drink or are you not? Are you going to get behind the wheel or are you not? Are you going to talk to that person or not? Everything is decisions. Everything is choices. It's your journey. Are you going left?
And your decisions, right? Your decisions are fueled by your thinking. So if you're struggling, the last thing I want anyone to do is say, okay, well, I just got to work harder. I just got to do more. No. Start by saying, how am I thinking about this problem that's causing me to get stuck? Start with your thinking. Why? Because first you think, then you behave. right? And a lot of people just try to change the behavior. Stop doing that. Look at your thinking first. And when your thinking is adjusted, your behavior naturally follows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything starts between the 6 inches between your ears, that gray matter up there. If you change that, you can literally change anything in your life. But people, it's so simple, Kim. How can it work? I don't get it, Kim. It's like, well, here's a couple of steps. I just gave you 3 questions. Let's start there, kiddo. Yeah. And then we'll jump off into the big boy land or big girl land.
That's right. So start with those 3 questions. Send them into Kim at frameofmindcoaching.com.
Or text them to Matt. Or text them to Matt on his cell phone.
Yeah, exactly. In novel form. Exactly. All right. So very, very practical. I love it when we can bring something that's very mindset-y, but down into very practical, especially questions, because questions are super powerful. So I love that you're able to bring it down to very, very practical steps that people can take to get started. Speaking of a practical step that people can take to get started, Greg, how do people reach out and connect with you?
Guys, go to bookmcdaniel.com. It's right there on the screen. Go to bookmcdaniel.com. EXP is something that Matt and I are super excited about. The crew of people we're putting together, when the value add that we have behind the scenes, the free coaching, the masterminds, the products, and the list goes on and on from there. But if you guys are wanting to see a shift in your life, if you want to make more money just by selling real estate, that's it. I love working from home because it gives me the ability to literally walk out of there into here, and within 1 minute I'm at work instead of commuting to an office somewhere. There's a variety pack of reasons, guys, but book a call. It's a 30-minute call. I really do want to talk to you. I really do. And let's go to bookmcdaniel.com and let's see if EXP is going to be the good fit for you. And if it is, dude, cool. If it's not right now, dude, cool. Either way, I still love you. So go there, have a call. Yeah, I'm done. I have nothing else to say.
All right. And then for the show itself, make sure to subscribe, either iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, depending on your device. And then if you want the video versions, you can go right to our website, reuncensored.com, where we have all of our past episodes, all the videos you can watch there. You can subscribe. And then, guys, if you we touched a little bit. We actually forget to mention this a lot. If you're like Kim and feel like you're not good on video and you've been shying away from video, guys, go to rockstarlivevideo.com. Greg and I did a free training for you there about how to get started with Facebook Live. There's a lot of people that are shying away from it, but right now is the best time to jump into it. There's so plenty of people who are looking to people like you for leadership to do that. There's a lot of people that are waiting on the sidelines and are not jumping in, and you can be one of the first still to do that and start taking a leadership role in your community and a leadership role within your sphere of influence to get out there and start sharing what you know, what you're learning, and what you're doing. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. So go to rockstarlivevideo.com, pop your name and email in, you'll get the training for free. It's instant access. It's like 25 minutes of material there for you to get started on and start going through. It'll give you ideas for places to grab all the content you could ever want for things to share on Facebook Live. So go grab that, guys. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you so much, and everybody that's watching, listening live, whether it's after the fact or here live on Facebook. We appreciate it. We will see everybody on the next one.
Matt, we need a bow, buddy.
Oh man, let's go with blue. I don't know why. A nice blue bow. Let's wrap this episode up in a blue bow.
I'm going to give you a whole huge array of color schemes. So
I need a crayon box. Yes.
Yes.
You've asked me this question 30 times in the last few months. Yeah.
I just want to say thanks, and I love you guys.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Kim. We appreciate it.
Kim, we're going to have you back. Without a doubt, guys. This is why we bring her back. I mean, she's a legend. She's a ninja mentally and, beating us up. And these 3 questions, I hope will beat you up in a very positive way so you can come to terms with this stuff. You don't have to send them to her. If you want to be private, that's cool, but I encourage you to send them to her because that's going to be awesome. Matt and I love you to pieces. We believe in every one of you, and we love every one of you. So go with God, my children. Until next time, peace out, ninjas. We gone.